Imagine waking up in a home that feels more like a private resort than a place to live. Beyond the glass walls, an infinity pool disappears into the horizon. In the garage, machines worth more than most homes wait in silence. A helicopter can lift you above the traffic. A private jet can cross continents on your schedule. And somewhere along the Mediterranean coast, a super yacht is waiting for its next destination. For most people, these are symbols of unimaginable wealth. But at the highest levels of fortune, luxury begins to mean something very different. It is no longer simply about owning expensive things. It is about eliminating limitations. Think about how much of ordinary life is controlled by waiting. Waiting in traffic, waiting at airports, waiting for a hotel room, waiting for a reservation, waiting for someone else's schedule. Extreme wealth changes that equation. The mansion creates a private world behind its gates. The helicopter turns hours on the road into minutes in the air. The private jet transforms an airport from a place you endure into a place you barely notice. The yacht makes the destination move with you. And the supercar waiting in the garage is not transportation in the ordinary sense. It is engineering, design, exclusivity, and status condensed into one machine. This is why the billionaire lifestyle cannot be understood simply by adding up price tags. A mansion may be spectacular. A yacht may be enormous. A watch may cost more than an ordinary house. But the deeper luxury is what all of these things create together. Space, privacy, access, freedom, and control. Look at places like Dubai and Monaco, and you can see this world concentrated into a few extraordinary square miles. Towers rise above the skyline. Supercars move through streets lined with luxury hotels. Yachts fill the marinas. Private aviation connects one exclusive destination to another. Behind closed doors are residences designed not merely to provide shelter, but to create an environment completely separated from ordinary life. And separation may be one of the most valuable luxuries of all. When millions of people compete for the same seats, rooms, roads, and experiences, wealth creates another option. Your own residence, your own aircraft, your own yacht, your own schedule, your own space. That distinction changes everything. Consider a normal international journey. You plan around airline schedules, travel to a crowded airport, pass through security, wait at the gate, board with hundreds of other passengers, collect your luggage, and then continue toward your destination. Now imagine the same journey when the aircraft is waiting for you. The departure is designed around your schedule. The cabin becomes a private environment, and when you land, another form of transportation may already be waiting. Suddenly, what was once an exhausting day of travel becomes simply a transition between two places. Or imagine arriving on the Mediterranean coast, not to check into a hotel, but to step aboard a yacht where the bedroom, living space, dining area, and view can travel with you. Tomorrow, the scenery outside the window can be completely different without packing a suitcase or changing rooms. That is the pattern we will see again and again in this world. The greatest luxury is not always the object itself. It is the friction the object removes. A mansion removes the need to leave home for many experiences. A private jet removes much of the friction of commercial travel. A yacht removes the boundary between accommodation and transportation. A helicopter challenges distance. A collection of extraordinary cars turns mobility into an experience of its own. Even the smallest objects can communicate the same idea. A mechanical watch, precious metal or diamond may serve little additional practical purpose compared with something far less expensive. Yet rarity itself becomes valuable when basic needs have long since disappeared from the equation. But there is another reason this world fascinates millions of people who may never live inside it. It represents an extreme version of a universal desire: to have more control over where we live, how we spend our time, and what experiences are available to us. Strip away the marble, the polished metal, the swimming pools, and the engines. And much of luxury ultimately comes back to those three things: time, freedom, and choice. And that is where our journey really begins. Because before the private jets, before the super yachts, and before the million-dollar machines, there is one place designed to contain almost every part of this lifestyle behind a single set of doors: the billionaire home. And once you step inside, the meaning of the word house begins to change. For most people, a home is the place they return to after experiencing the outside world. But at the highest levels of wealth, the home can become the outside world. Behind the walls of an extraordinary mansion, almost everything you might normally travel somewhere else to experience can exist within a few steps of the bedroom. The first difference is scale. A billionaire residence is not designed around the question, how much space do we need? It is designed around a completely different question. What kind of life do we want this space to create? That shift changes everything. Walk through the entrance and the architecture itself begins making a statement. Towering ceilings create enormous volumes of open space. Sculptural staircases become centerpieces rather than simple connections between floors. Walls of glass dissolve the boundary between the interior and the landscape outside. Living rooms can feel closer to the lobby of an exclusive hotel than a conventional family home. And yet the most expensive luxury may be something almost invisible: privacy. Outside, millions of people share crowded cities, busy streets, public spaces, and constant noise. Inside these properties, the world can become remarkably quiet. Large plots of land, private entrances, landscape gardens, and carefully controlled views create distance between the owner and everything beyond the property. That distance is not accidental. Privacy is part of the architecture. Then there is the living room. In an ordinary home, it might be a place for a sofa, a television, and a few guests. In a luxury mansion, the same space can become an enormous social environment designed for entertaining, relaxing, and displaying art or design. Furniture is positioned around views rather than walls. Lighting is engineered to transform the atmosphere after sunset. Materials such as stone, wood, glass, and metal are selected not simply because they are expensive, but because every surface contributes to the experience of the room. Move deeper into the house, and the kitchen reveals another transformation. For most families, the kitchen is fundamentally a working space. In the billionaire home, it can be both a showpiece and a professional environment. Expansive islands, hidden storage, integrated appliances, and immaculate surfaces create the kitchen guests see, while additional preparation areas can allow staff to work almost invisibly behind the scenes. Luxury at this level is often about making complexity disappear. The more complicated the lifestyle becomes, the more effortless the house is designed to make it feel. Upstairs, or perhaps in an entirely separate wing, the bedroom becomes another private world. The objective is no longer simply to provide somewhere to sleep. The room can function as a retreat within the retreat. Large windows frame the landscape like artwork. Sitting areas create space to spend hours without leaving the suite. And beyond the bedroom, the bathroom may resemble a private spa, with stone surfaces, oversized showers, freestanding tubs, and carefully designed lighting, turning an everyday routine into an experience. Then comes one of the clearest symbols of abundance: the walk-in closet. When clothing, shoes, watches, and accessories become collections, storage itself becomes architecture. Instead of opening a wardrobe, you walk into a room. Glass cabinets display individual pieces. Lighting presents them almost like objects inside a luxury boutique. Everything has its place because organization becomes another form of convenience. But eventually, the interior gives way to one of the defining features of modern luxury architecture: the swimming pool. An infinity pool overlooking a skyline, ocean, or landscape does something more than provide somewhere to swim. It turns the view into part of the property. During the day, water reflects the sky. At night, carefully positioned lighting can transform the entire outdoor space. Add terraces, lounge areas, and seamless connections between inside and outside, and the mansion begins functioning like a private resort. There is no reception desk, no crowded pool, no need to reserve the best table or search for the perfect room. The experience belongs entirely to the owner and their guests. And then there is the garage. In many homes, a garage exists simply to protect a vehicle from the weather. Here, it can become a gallery for machines: Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Rolls-Royce. Each represents a different interpretation of performance, engineering, craftsmanship, or prestige. When cars reach this level, hiding them behind a metal door almost misses the point. The garage can be designed to display them, with polished floors, dramatic lighting, and enough space for each vehicle to stand like an exhibit. But look closely at everything we have seen: the living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, closet, pool, and garage, and a pattern emerges. The real extravagance is not any single room. It is the ability to bring experiences normally scattered across an entire city into one controlled environment. A luxury hotel suite becomes the bedroom. A spa becomes the bathroom. A resort becomes the pool. A boutique becomes the closet. A showroom becomes the garage. Entertainment, relaxation, privacy, and status all exist under one roof. This is why the most extraordinary homes are more than collections of expensive materials. They are ecosystems designed around the owner. Every room solves a problem, satisfies a desire, or removes another reason to leave. But even a mansion has one limitation that no amount of marble, glass, or land can eliminate. It cannot move. Eventually, the owner still has to cross cities, countries, and oceans. And for people accustomed to controlling almost every aspect of their environment, surrendering an entire day to commercial travel can feel strangely incompatible with the rest of the lifestyle. That is where another door opens this time, not into another room, but onto a runway. Because when time becomes more valuable than the price of a ticket, flying private begins to make an entirely different kind of sense. There is a point where travel stops being about getting from one place to another and starts becoming a question of time. For most people, flying means adapting to a system designed for millions of passengers. The airline chooses the schedule. The airport determines the process. Security, boarding, connections, delays, and baggage all become part of the journey. But extreme wealth changes the relationship between the traveler and the system. Instead of organizing your life around a flight, the flight can begin to organize itself around you. This is the world of private aviation. From the outside, a private jet may look like another symbol of wealth, a sleek aircraft sitting on the runway, polished and waiting. But its real value becomes clearer when you consider what it can remove. The journey can begin away from the enormous terminals used by commercial airlines. The number of passengers is dramatically smaller. The cabin is private. The schedule can be far more flexible. And perhaps most importantly, the aircraft can become an extension of the environment the passenger has just left behind. Step inside and the difference becomes immediately visible. Instead of rows of hundreds of identical seats, the cabin may be arranged more like a luxury living room. Individual chairs, tables, sofas, and carefully designed lighting create spaces for conversation, work, dining, or rest. The goal is not simply to survive several hours in the air. The goal is to make those hours useful. Imagine leaving a mansion in the morning, boarding an aircraft, and continuing a meeting at 30,000 feet. Documents can be reviewed, conversations can continue, meals can be served. On longer journeys, the cabin can become a place to rest before arriving on another continent. The aircraft is moving, but life does not necessarily have to stop while it moves. That is the key difference. When someone has enormous financial resources, the cost of travel is not measured only in money. It can also be measured in hours, and hours cannot be purchased back once they are gone. This makes time one of the most important currencies in the billionaire lifestyle. A private jet does not make the distance between two cities disappear, but it can reduce many of the interruptions surrounding that distance. And once you begin looking at luxury through that lens, private aviation becomes less about the seat and more about control. Control over departure, control over the people sharing the cabin, control over the environment, control over how the journey itself is used. Even the interior reflects that philosophy. Materials, seating configurations, and cabin layouts can create an atmosphere that feels closer to a private office or lounge than conventional transportation. Windows reveal the world thousands of feet below, while the interior remains calm, isolated, and controlled. For someone moving between investments, businesses, properties, or destinations, that continuity can become incredibly valuable. One moment you are inside a residence, the next you are inside a private cabin. Hours later, you can step into another city without ever fully entering the rhythm of mass transportation. But private jets solve only one part of the problem. There is still the distance between the property and the aircraft, between the airport and the final destination, and between locations where conventional roads may be slow or inconvenient. This is where another machine enters the billionaire transportation network, the helicopter. Look down at a city like Dubai, and the advantage becomes obvious. Roads follow the shape of the city. Traffic moves through intersections, bridges, and highways. A helicopter operates in an entirely different dimension. It can rise above the network below and travel more directly toward its destination. What might be an impressive machine to someone watching from the ground can become something much more practical to someone whose schedule is measured minute by minute. The helicopter also creates connections that would otherwise be difficult. A residence can connect to an airport. An airport can connect to a city center. A coastline can connect to a yacht. One form of private transportation hands the passenger to another. Mansion, helicopter, private jet, car, yacht. At the highest level, these are not necessarily separate luxuries. Together, they can form a transportation ecosystem designed to reduce waiting and maintain privacy from beginning to end. That ecosystem becomes especially visible in places associated with concentrated wealth. Imagine departing from a modern skyline, flying privately across borders and arriving near the Mediterranean. From above, Monaco appears almost impossibly compact, a small territory filled with high-rise residences, luxury hotels, winding roads, and a harbor crowded with yachts. In a place where land is limited and wealth is highly visible, transportation itself becomes part of the spectacle. Supercars below, helicopters above, yachts along the water, private aircraft connecting the region to the rest of the world. Yet beneath all of that spectacle is the same principle we discovered inside the billionaire home. Remove friction. The mansion removes the need to search for privacy. The private jet removes many of the compromises associated with commercial aviation. The helicopter reduces the limitations imposed by roads and traffic. Wealth is being used not merely to purchase objects, but to redesign the experience around the individual. And this reveals something important about the hierarchy of luxury. At first, people often imagine wealth in terms of possessions. A bigger house, a more expensive car, a more exclusive watch. But beyond a certain point, possessions begin serving something even more valuable: mobility. The ability to decide where you want to be and then move between those places with fewer restrictions. Today, that could mean waking up beside a pool overlooking a city. Hours later, the view outside the window could be clouds and open sky. By evening, the destination could be hundreds or thousands of miles away. But there is one luxury machine that takes this idea even further. A private jet transports you to the destination. A helicopter brings you closer to it. But what if the destination itself could move? What if your bedroom, living room, dining space, and entertainment areas could travel with you across the sea? That is where aviation ends and another extraordinary world begins. Because waiting beyond the coastline is perhaps the ultimate symbol of mobile luxury, the superyacht. There are luxury homes, private aircraft, and extraordinary cars. But few possessions combine all three ideas: privacy, mobility, and freedom as completely as a superyacht. A mansion gives you a private world, but it stays in one place. A private jet can cross continents, but eventually you have to leave it. A superyacht is different. It allows the private world itself to move. Wake up in one location, spend the afternoon surrounded by open water, and watch the sunset somewhere entirely different without changing rooms, packing a suitcase, or checking into another hotel. This is why, at the highest levels of wealth, a yacht can become far more than a boat. It can become a floating residence. From the outside, the scale is often the first thing that captures attention. Long decks stretch above the water. Large windows reveal multiple levels of interior space. Outdoor lounges face uninterrupted views of the sea. Everything about the design suggests that the vessel was created not simply to travel across water, but to make the journey itself the destination. Step inside, and the boundary between yacht and luxury residence begins to disappear. The interior can resemble an exclusive hotel, a modern penthouse, or a private mansion. Living areas are designed for conversation and relaxation. Dining spaces turn meals into events. Bedrooms provide private retreats away from the activity elsewhere on board. Materials, lighting, and furniture are selected to create an atmosphere where the ocean outside becomes part of the interior experience. Every window can become a moving picture. Every morning can reveal a different horizon. But the most remarkable part of life aboard a yacht may be what happens outside. On land, even the most extraordinary mansion has boundaries. There are neighboring properties, roads, and cities beyond the gates. At sea, those boundaries seem to disappear. The view can stretch in every direction until water meets sky. For someone seeking privacy, that physical separation has enormous appeal. There are no crowds passing the front gate, no busy hotel corridor outside the room, no strangers occupying the pool beside you. The environment can be shared with a carefully selected group of family, friends, and guests, while a professional crew handles the complexity required to keep everything moving. And complexity is exactly what lies beneath the effortless appearance. A yacht may look peaceful from the deck, but behind that experience is an entire operating system. Navigation, maintenance, food preparation, cleaning, engineering, and logistics continue largely out of sight. The owner experiences the result rather than the machinery behind it. Once again, luxury is not simply about adding more. It is about making complicated things feel simple. You decide where you want to go. Other people and systems make the movement happen. That ability transforms geography. Imagine spending time along the Mediterranean coast. Monaco can be the backdrop today. Tomorrow, the yacht can move toward another stretch of coastline. The bedroom remains yours. The living room remains yours. The people around you remain the same. Only the world outside changes. A hotel provides luxury at a destination. A yacht carries luxury between destinations. That distinction is enormous. It means travel no longer requires repeatedly leaving one environment and entering another. The environment travels with you. And when a helicopter becomes part of that ecosystem, the possibilities expand again. Instead of always approaching the yacht from a marina, private aviation can connect different parts of the journey. The helicopter can bridge the gap between land and sea, while the private jet handles the much greater distances between countries and continents. Seen separately, the mansion, helicopter, jet, and yacht appear to be extravagant possessions. Seen together, they form something much more interesting, a private network. The mansion is the base. The helicopter provides short-range mobility. The jet connects distant regions, and the yacht creates a movable destination. Each machine removes another boundary. Roads matter less, airline schedules matter less, hotel availability matters less. Even geography begins to feel more flexible. This is where the billionaire lifestyle reaches a level that is difficult to understand through price alone. You could calculate what a house costs, you could put a value on an aircraft, you could assign a number to a yacht, but the experience created by connecting them is harder to measure. How much is it worth to wake up when you choose, travel when you choose, and decide that tomorrow morning's view should be somewhere else? For most people, travel is built around destinations. We choose a place, find transportation, reserve accommodation, and organize the journey around what is available. At this level, the process can almost reverse. Transportation and accommodation become part of the same private system, allowing the destination to become the variable. The question is no longer simply, where can we go? It becomes, where do we want to be next? And yet the superyacht represents another contradiction of extreme luxury. The more effortless the experience appears, the more infrastructure may be required behind the scenes. Large spaces need constant maintenance. Powerful machines need fuel and engineering. Interiors exposed to the marine environment require care. Crews keep the operation functioning. Supplies must be managed. Routes must be planned. The freedom visible from the deck exists because an enormous amount of organization remains invisible below it. That same contradiction appears throughout the billionaire world. The mansion looks peaceful because systems and people maintain it. The private jet feels effortless because teams prepare it. The yacht feels like freedom because an entire operation supports it. Extreme luxury does not eliminate complexity. It moves complexity away from the owner. And perhaps that is one of the clearest definitions of wealth we have encountered so far. But eventually the yacht returns toward the coast. The helicopter touches down. The jet reaches the runway. And waiting on land is another expression of wealth. One built not around bedrooms, swimming pools, or open water, but around speed, engineering, and emotion. Because when transportation is no longer chosen primarily for practicality, a garage can become a collection of rolling works of art. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Rolls-Royce, different machines, different philosophies, and prices that can reach extraordinary levels. Welcome to the Billionaire Garage. For most people, a car has one fundamental purpose: transportation. It gets you from home to work, from one city to another, from point A to point B. But step inside the world of extreme wealth, and that definition begins to collapse. Here, a car can be engineering, sculpture, identity, emotion, and status all wrapped around an engine. And when money is no longer the primary limitation, choosing one car is not necessary. The garage itself can become a collection. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Rolls-Royce. Each name represents a different interpretation of what an automobile can be. Some are built around speed and precision. Others make drama part of the experience. Some pursue extraordinary performance through advanced engineering. And others focus on silence, comfort, and effortless presence. There is no single definition of the perfect luxury car because, at this level, the purpose is no longer simply to arrive. The purpose is to decide how you want to arrive. Imagine opening the doors of a private garage in the morning. One machine is low, aggressive, and designed to turn every road into an event. Another surrounds its passengers with comfort and isolation. Another represents the pursuit of speed at a level that few drivers will ever experience. Choosing between them can become less like selecting transportation and more like selecting a mood. That freedom of choice is the same pattern we have seen throughout the billionaire lifestyle. The mansion gives control over the environment. The private jet gives control over long-distance travel. The yacht gives control over the destination. And the collection of cars gives control over the experience of the road. But there is another reason these machines occupy such a powerful place in luxury culture. They are visible. A private mansion may disappear behind gates. The interior of a private jet is seen by only a handful of passengers. A yacht can spend much of its life far from the public, but a supercar announces itself the moment it enters the street. The shape, the sound, the proportions, and the badge can communicate something before the driver ever steps outside. That visibility makes the automobile one of the most immediate symbols of wealth. And nowhere does that spectacle feel more natural than places where luxury itself has become part of the landscape. Imagine a supercar moving beneath the towers of Dubai, its body reflecting glass and city lights as it passes through a skyline built around ambition and scale. Or picture another machine following the streets of Monaco, where luxury cars, hotels, yachts, and extraordinary residences exist within an almost impossibly compact environment. In places like these, the car becomes part of a much larger ecosystem. It leaves the mansion, passes the luxury hotel, approaches the marina, and eventually returns to a garage designed almost as carefully as the living spaces upstairs. Because when the vehicles themselves become objects worth displaying, the garage changes too. Concrete floors and fluorescent lights give way to polished surfaces, dramatic illumination, and carefully organized spaces. The room begins to resemble a private showroom. Cars are positioned so they can be admired even when they are not moving. Their curves, paint, wheels, and details become part of the architecture. The collection becomes decoration, but the appeal goes deeper than appearance. High-performance automobiles represent an extraordinary concentration of engineering. Aerodynamics, engines, transmissions, suspension systems, lightweight materials, and electronics must work together within a machine small enough to fit on an ordinary road. The result can deliver acceleration and performance that would have seemed almost impossible in earlier generations. Yet absolute speed is only one part of the attraction. A Ferrari can create one kind of emotion. A Lamborghini can create another. Bugatti has become associated with extreme engineering and performance. Rolls-Royce approaches luxury from almost the opposite direction, where effortless power, comfort, and refinement can matter more than aggression. Put them together, and the garage stops being a collection of interchangeable vehicles. Each machine provides a different experience. An experience is precisely what extreme wealth increasingly purchases. There is a limit to how many cars one person actually needs. Just as there is a limit to how many bedrooms one person can sleep in or how many watches one person can wear, beyond that point, consumption becomes collection. The object is no longer purchased only because it performs a function. It may be purchased because of design, craftsmanship, rarity, history, emotion, or simply because acquiring extraordinary things becomes part of the lifestyle itself. That logic extends far beyond automobiles. Look at the wrist and the same phenomenon appears on a much smaller scale. A watch can tell the time. Almost any inexpensive digital device can do that accurately. Yet names such as Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Richard Mille occupy an entirely different world. At that level, the attraction can involve craftsmanship, mechanical complexity, materials, scarcity, design, and recognition. The practical function remains simple, but the object surrounding that function becomes extraordinarily elaborate. Gold follows the same pattern. Diamonds follow it. Precious materials have been used for centuries to represent wealth precisely because they concentrate value into objects that can be held, worn, displayed, and transferred. Modern luxury adds new symbols, but the underlying desire is ancient. Rarity communicates status. And this is where the billionaire garage connects to the watch collection, the mansion, the yacht, and the jet. None of these objects exists in isolation. Together they create a visual language of wealth. The architecture says space, the aircraft says mobility, the yacht says freedom, the supercar says performance, the watch says craftsmanship and exclusivity. Gold and diamonds say rarity. Each communicates something different, Yet all of them point toward the same reality. Once basic needs become irrelevant, value can migrate toward experiences, scarcity, personalization, and access. But there is an interesting question hiding behind all of this. If someone already has the mansion, the private aircraft, the yacht, and a garage filled with extraordinary cars, what comes next? There will always be another machine, another watch, another property, and another object to acquire. But eventually, adding more possessions produces diminishing returns. A person can own 10 cars, but can drive only one at a time. They can own multiple homes, but wake up in only one place each morning. They can own a collection of watches, but wear only one on the wrist. At some point, the ultimate expression of wealth stops being about how many things you own and becomes about something much harder to display: how much of your life you control. And that brings us to the final chapter. Because behind the mansions, private jets, super yachts, supercars, watches, gold and diamonds, is the one asset every billionaire has exactly the same amount of each day as everyone else: 24 hours. The final question is not what billions can buy. It is what all that wealth is ultimately trying to protect. After the mansion, the private jet, the helicopter, the super yacht, and the garage filled with extraordinary machines, it would be easy to believe that the billionaire lifestyle is simply a competition to own more. A larger house, a faster car, a longer yacht, a rarer watch, more gold, more diamonds, more destinations. But look closely at everything we have seen, and another story begins to emerge. The objects are spectacular, but the real luxury often exists in what those objects make possible. A mansion does more than provide thousands of square feet of beautiful space. It creates privacy. A private jet does more than provide a luxurious seat in the sky. It changes the relationship between travel and time. A helicopter does more than fly above a city. It can turn hours of movement into minutes. A yacht does more than float across the sea. It allows the destination itself to move with you. A supercar does more than reach extraordinary speeds. It transforms an ordinary journey into an experience. And a luxury hotel does more than provide a room. It creates an environment where countless details are handled before the guest ever has to think about them. Different objects, different experiences, but the same underlying idea: removing friction from life. Imagine a single day inside this world. Morning begins behind the glass walls of a private residence. Sunlight moves across the living room while the city wakes somewhere beyond the property. There is no rush toward a crowded lobby, no search for privacy, no need to leave simply to find a beautiful environment. The environment has already been built around you. Later, the garage offers another choice. Not whether transportation is available, but which experience you want today. Perhaps something designed around comfort. Perhaps something built around performance. The doors open, the engine starts, and the journey becomes part of the entertainment. But if the destination is too far for the road, another option is waiting. A helicopter rises above the city. The streets become patterns below. Buildings shrink. Traffic loses its power over the schedule. At the airport, a private aircraft waits. Hours later, the skyline has changed. The language outside may be different. The weather may be different. The continent may be different. Yet the journey has remained inside a sequence of controlled environments. Residence, car, helicopter, jet, hotel, yacht. Each transition has been designed to minimize uncertainty and maximize choice. And that may be the most important word in the entire billionaire lifestyle: choice. Most people make decisions within limits. Which home can I afford? Which flight is available? Which hotel still has a room? How long will the journey take? Can I take time away from work? Extreme wealth does not eliminate every limitation, but it can dramatically expand the number of available answers. If one destination is inconvenient, another can be chosen. If a commercial schedule does not work, private aviation offers an alternative. If a hotel cannot provide enough privacy, a private residence or yacht can create it. Money expands options, and options create control. This is why places like Dubai and Monaco have become such powerful visual symbols of extreme wealth. They concentrate many of these choices into a single landscape. Luxury residences rise above the city. Five-star hotels create extraordinary interiors. Supercars move through the streets. Yachts sit along the waterfront. Helicopters cross the skyline. Behind the visible spectacle is an infrastructure designed for people who expect access, convenience, and privacy at the same time. But wealth also communicates through much smaller objects. A Rolex on the wrist, A Patek Philippe carefully stored in a collection. A Richard Mille with an unmistakable design, gold reflecting light inside a private space. A diamond whose value is tied not to its physical size, but to rarity, quality, and desire. These objects cannot transport someone across an ocean or provide a place to sleep. Their purpose is different. They compress craftsmanship, scarcity, and status into something that can be carried anywhere. Yet there is a paradox at the center of all this luxury. The more money someone has, the more things become purchasable. Houses can be purchased, cars can be purchased, aircraft can be purchased. Yachts, watches, jewelry, and extraordinary experiences can all have prices. But some of the most valuable things remain stubbornly unavailable at any price. Another hour cannot be manufactured after a day has ended. A perfect moment cannot simply be ordered again. Genuine relationships cannot be guaranteed by a bank account. Health, happiness, and peace of mind do not automatically appear when a number becomes larger. Money can change the environment around a life. It cannot completely control life itself. And perhaps that explains why time sits at the center of so many extreme luxuries. The private jet saves it, the helicopter saves it. The mansion reduces the need to spend it searching for privacy and comfort. The yacht allows travel and living to happen simultaneously. Staff, technology, and infrastructure move countless tasks away from the owner. Again and again, enormous amounts of money are being used to protect something that every person receives in exactly the same daily quantity, 24 hours. So perhaps the ultimate billionaire luxury is not the Bugatti in the garage. It is not the private jet on the runway. It is not the yacht outside Monaco, the mansion overlooking the horizon, or the watch on the wrist. Those are the visible symbols. The deeper luxury is waking up with an extraordinary degree of control over a simple question. What do I want to do with my time today? Go nowhere and remain inside a private world. Drive simply because the road is beautiful. Fly because another city sounds more interesting. Cross the water because tomorrow's horizon should look different. Stay inside a luxury hotel where almost every detail has already been anticipated, or do absolutely nothing at all. That freedom is difficult to photograph, so we photograph the objects surrounding it instead. We see the mansion, we see the jet, we see the yacht, we see the supercar, the watch, the gold, and the diamonds. They become shorthand for a lifestyle built around access and possibility. And maybe that is why this world continues to fascinate us. It is not only because the objects are expensive, it is because they represent an exaggerated version of something almost everyone wants. More freedom over where we live, where we go, who we spend our time with, and how much of that time truly belongs to us. The billionaire lifestyle may exist at the extreme edge of that idea, surrounded by marble, glass, engines, and extraordinary machines. But beneath all the spectacle is a surprisingly simple equation. First, money buys things. Then it buys convenience, then privacy, then access. And eventually, at the highest level, it attempts to buy freedom from limitations. But even billions cannot buy everything. The clock continues moving at exactly the same speed for everyone. And perhaps that is the greatest irony of extreme wealth. After acquiring almost everything money can buy, the rarest luxury of all is still the one thing no one can own more time.